You welcome back to our course SQL. So in today's lecture we are going to discuss few frequently asked queries in interview. Okay, frequently asked SQL query in interview. So in the last two video lecture we also discussed about few important queries that were asked frequently in interviews. Similarly, today also we are going to discuss more queries that are frequently asked in interviews. So very first query is very simple. Finding the odd rows from the table. Just imagine a situation that in your table 100 rows are there, and out of this 100 row you want to fetch only odd rows. Okay, means just like that it is having a number 1 2 3, so I want to fetch row 1 3 5 7 like this. That means SQL query simple, finding the odd rows from the table. So how to do this? In order to fetch the odd rows from the table, we need to write this query. So simply what are written over here, select star from, this is a inline query. This is called as a inline query. Select star from, in bracket, select employee number, comma, name, salary, row num. Here what we are using? We are using the row num. If you remember, row num is one of the pseudo column that is attached with every table. Okay, and whenever we are fetching a row from the table, it will assign a row number. Means for each and every row that we are going to fetch from the table, that is being assigned with a row number. Okay, so row num is a pseudo column that is attached in the employee table. So that we are going to use to solve the particular query. So select star from, in bracket, select employee number, comma, ename, comma, sal, comma, row num. We are creating alias as a rank from employee, order by employee number. So we are arranging this data in the ascending order, where mod, in bracket, rank comma 2 not equals to 0. So in this case we are going to use mod operator. So you already know what is the use of mod operator. Mod operator always returns the remainder. So the logic is very simple, that we are going to use in order to find odd number and even number. So in case of odd number, you are using a logic mod 2 equals to 0. That means if the remainder is 0, that means the number is even. If the remainder is not 0, that means number is odd. So in this case what we are doing, we are writing, this is a not sign. Okay, so in this case we are dividing this row num by 2, and suppose the remainder is not 0, that means that particular row is a odd. That means that particular row is having a odd row number. So in this case, how this query will be executed? First of all, this query, the bracket, because you know that whenever we are providing the bracket, that part will be executed first as per the BODMAS rule. So in this particular query, first of all, this query will be executed. So here select employee number, comma, name, salary, row num, rank from employee, order by employee number. So first of all, this query will be executed, and it will fetch all the rows from the table, and it will assign the row number. I will demonstrate this thing while executing this query in the live SQL. Don't worry about this, but here I am telling you, first of all, this query will be executed, and once this query will be executed, it will fetch all the rows. Then after that, what we are saying, then we consider the where condition. What is a where condition? Where condition is that their mod should not be equals to 0, and that row we are fetching finally. Select star from means initially that inner part will be executed, it fetch all the records from the table, and it will assign all row number. But after that, outer query will be executed, and their where condition. So in the where condition we have specified that their mod should not be equals to 0. So finally we get such kind of output. So here you can see rank is 1 3 5 7 9 11 and 13, and you already know in case of an employee table there are 14 rows are there. So initially when I execute this query, it fetch all the 14 rows from the table, and it will assign row num from 1 to 14. But after that we are specifying this where condition, in which we are testing whether this mod equals to 0 or not. If it is not equals to 0, that means we have to fetch it. So in this way we got the result. So this is what a simple SQL query in order to fetch odd rows from the table, and for that purpose we are going to use two things. One is a row num pseudo column, and second one is a mod function. Now in the same way you can write a query to find even rows from the table. Means in order to fetch even row from the table, you can write a same kind of query. Only thing is that here what we have written not equals to 0, and in this query what we have written mod equals to 0. That means if the remainder equals to 0, that means the number is even. So in the same way this query will also get work. First of all, this inner query will be executed. It will fetch all the 14 rows, assign row number from 1 to 14, and then we are checking where condition. In the where condition we are checking whether their remainder is 0 or not. If the remainder is 0, that row will be written in the outer query. Though here you can see this is the output that we obtain after executing this particular query. That means here you can find rank is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. These are the ranks given to that particular rows. So this is again a simple SQL query to fetch even rows from the table. So I hope you understand how to fetch odd rows and even rows from the table. Now next thing is write a SQL query. Next query that we are going to discuss, SQL query to fetch employee having even employee number. So you know that in case of employee table, every employee is having some ID. So in that case I want to fetch that employee's information from employee table whose employee number is even. Okay, so very simple query we can write over here. Select star from emp where mod in bracket employee number comma 2 equals to 0. Suppose the mod will return the 0, that means that employee number is even. Okay, that employee number is even, and then I'm going to use this order by clause in order to arrange all this data in a ascending order. So here you can see this is the output that I obtain. So here you can see all employee number which is fetched by this particular query is having employee number even 6, 4, 8, 2, 8, 4, 6, 0, 2, 4. So it has fetched all the employees who is having even employee number. Now this is a query to get employee having even employee number. Similarly, you can have another type of query where we want to fetch information of those employee who is having odd employee number. So simply you have to change the logic over here. In this case, select star from employee where mod in bracket employee number comma 2 not equals to 0. Suppose the mod is not equals to 0, that means that employee number is odd, and that we are fetching. And finally we are just using order by clause in order to arrange this all employee information in ascending order. So here you can see 9 is a odd number, 9 is a odd number, 1 is a odd number, and 9 is a odd number. So in total employee table 14 rows are there. So 10 rows is fetched, that means 10 employees having even employee number, and 4 employees having odd employee number. So this is what a case. Now next type of query is you may get this type of question. Write a SQL query to find number of rows in the table. So how can you write a simple query? So if you remember, we discussed about the aggregate function. So in that aggregate function we discuss about mean, max, sum, count, and average. So in this case we are going to make use of a count as an aggregate function. So how to get the number of rows, how to get the count of number of rows present in the table. So simply you can write a query, select count of star from employee. So it will return the number of rows present in the table. Select count of star from the employee. The next type of queries, next question is write a SQL query to eliminate duplicate jobs in the result of a table employee. See, in the previous video we have seen how to remove the duplicate from the original table itself. That means we are removing the duplicate row from the table itself, but in this case our problem statement is not to remove the duplicate from the table but to remove the duplicate from the result itself. Okay, so what we are going to use, we are going to use distinct clause. So distinct clause help us to remove the duplicate values from the result but not from the original table. Okay, so we can write a query, select distinct of job from employee. So it help us to eliminate the duplicate jobs from the employee table. Now the next problem statement is write a SQL query to get department wise minimum salary from the employee table. Now we know that in case of employee table there are three departments are there, department number 10, 20, 30, and in every department number of employees are there. So in this particular problem statement we want to display a result like this. Suppose department number is 10 and in this case what is the minimum salary of a employee, that we want to display. Similarly for department number 20, what is the minimum salary, and for department number 30, what is the minimum salary. So that kind of output we are expecting over here. So how we can write a query, select dptno comma min of sal from employee. So in this case most of the time I found that student making a mistake by not writing this group by clause. Here you always have to remember whenever you are using aggregate functions, so at that time be careful that in select clause you are, while specifying the column, always there is a match between group expression and non-group expression. So in this case mean is a group expression whereas department number is a non-group expression, and there is a problem of compatibility. So in that case we have to make it as a group expression. By how? By making use of group by clause, group by dptno. Now it becomes a group expression. So dptno is a group expression and min of sal also treated as a group expression. So in this way we are making it as a group expression. Suppose you are not using group by clause, you will get an error. Okay, so this is a simple query to display department number along with their minimum salary. Similarly you can display maximum salary, you can display average salary or total salary. Okay, so you can use this. So here I have written this SQL query to get department wise maximum salary of the employee. Okay, now I hope you understand all this query. Now let's see the execution of all this query with the help of live SQL. Okay, now here we are going to see the execution of all this query. First of all I will show you the content of employee table. So in the employee table total 14 rows are there. Okay, most of the time I have just shown you the content of employee table. So in the employee table we have total 14 table. So our first problem statement is we want to fetch odd rows from the table. Okay, so I have written this query already. I just execute it and check whether it returns the odd number of rows from the table or not. So here I have just given the rank. Okay, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. So here you can see there are 7 rows are fetched from the employee table, because we know that total 14 rows are present in the employee table. So out of this we have fetched 7 rows from the employee table, and only just changing this sign. Now next query is to fetch even row from the table. So just execute it. So here you can see this is output. Here you can see the rank 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 and 14. That means here we have fetched even row from the table. Here we have fetched odd rows from the table. Here we fetch even rows from the table. Now next is I want to fetch such a employee details whose employee number is even. Okay, so I just execute this query, select star from employee where mod of employee number comma 2 equals to 0, and I am arranging it in a ascending order. So let's execute this query and check whether it gives output or not. Here you can see this is output that we are getting. Every employee number is a even 6482846024. So total 10 rows fetch from the employee table. Now similarly you can fetch details of employee who is having odd employee number. Okay, so let's execute this query and check what result we are getting over here. So here you can see we fetch 4 rows. So total count is 14. Total 14 rows are present in the employee table. So I have just shown you 10 rows. Now here 4 rows having a odd employee number 9919. Okay, so in this way we have fetched the details of an employee having even employee number and odd employee number. Now next query we have discussed about how to find the total number of rows from the table by executing a simple query. So select count of star from employee. So we know that total 14 rows are present in the employee table, so it should show me the count as a 14. Yes, it shows me the count as a 14. Next thing is how to remove the duplicate job in the result itself but not from the table. So for that purpose I have written this simple query, select distinct of job from employee. Okay, so I just executed this query. Here you can see job is clerk, salesman, analyst, manager and president. Suppose I remove distinct distinct from here, then total 14 job will be displayed, and that job is repeated one. So here you can see salesman is repeated. So distinct clause help us to remove the remove the duplicate values from the result but not from the original table. Next one is how to display the department number along with their minimum salary. So here what I told you, that's okay, first of all I will execute this and try to show the result, and then I will show you, suppose I am not making use of group by clause, what will happen over here. Okay, so here what you found, that department number and minimum salary. Okay, similarly you can have maximum salary, only you have to replace min by max. So here I can display department wise maximum salary paid. Okay, now here suppose I remove group by clause over here, then let's see what will happen. Okay, just check it out. Here you will get a error, not a single group function. Why this thing is happening? Because in this case max of sal is a group expression and department number is not a group expression. So in order to make it as a group expression, we have to make use of group by clause. So whenever you are using aggregate function, be always careful between the compatibility of group expression and non-group expression. So I hope you understand these few queries which are very frequently asked at interview. Thank you.